Hello, and welcome to Women in Business, where we interview entrepreneurs and senior managers and show you the strengths, successes, obstacles, and roadblocks women experience in business. Since I believe every person in business needs to be visible, I'd like to invite you to watch www.sob6, that's the number 6, tips.com, which will give you some valuable information should you get the call to be on radio or TV, which I think is extremely important. If you'd like to contact me personally, drop me a line at Gayle Carson, that's Gayle, Gayle Carson 13 at gmail.com, or go to my website, www.spunkyoldbroad.com, and sign up for my weekly newsletter. My guest today is Jennifer Martin. She's a 5-time business owner, author, speaker, and transformational business and mindset coach who lives from her soul's candy. She has owned 5 businesses and coached over 350 business leaders since 1999. Her superhero power is being an intuitive, and her mission is to spread more love in the world by shepherding in the new business paradigm and transforming the way we do business. Welcome, Jennifer, and it's certainly no better than right now to talk about how we're transforming how we do business, right?
Absolutely, Gayle. Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, what's going on now has never really been experienced like this. And thank goodness we have all the technology we have today. But you use the term soul's candy, and I don't know that I really understand what it is. So what do you consider soul candy?
Isn't that a great term? Sometimes we have these moments and we think we made that up, and then we're not sure if we made it up. So I don't know if I made it up, but I really love it. And for me, I see our soul's candy. That's what we're doing when we're so much in our joy that everything just kind of comes out of us naturally. And we could be doing that or experiencing what it is, and it doesn't at all feel like work. And for me, my soul's candy, there's a few things that I just adore, and I don't necessarily make my work for them, but I do love speaking in front of groups, which I get a lot of opportunity to do. But I also love going to garage sales and going on cruises and eating lots of frozen yogurt.
Well, that's certainly a diverse soul's candy, that's for sure. And you may have to wait a little while to go on some cruises, and I feel very empathic for the cruise industry because it's going to take a while for that to come back. But
Yeah.
how does someone go from their current job or business into working from their soul's candy? I mean, I would think people don't go into business if they don't like it, but I'm amazed how many people do. And then they say, well, I don't like what I'm doing, but that's what they chose. So tell us about that.
Yeah, isn't that amazing? As a business coach, I talk to a lot of people, and a lot of times their business is just sucking the life out of them. So going for your soul's candy, what I always recommend is first doing a little inventory and starting by, if you're in a business, starting by actually listing all of the tasks that you do in that job or in that business. And it could be opening emails and talking to clients and just everything that you're doing. And this is an exercise that takes a little while. And I say nothing about perfection. So you just list as many things as you can think of. When you've got about 85, 90%, you're done. Then what you do is you go back to that list and you just kind of listen intuitively. Don't overthink anything. And you ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being my greatest joy, where am I at when I'm answering emails? And then you go to the next one where, maybe it's a 7, I don't know. Then where am I at when I'm doing bookkeeping? For me, that's really low, not one of my passions. So, you just basically go through the list and you take a look at where you are at with all the tasks. And what you're looking for is what are your 8s, 9s, and 10s. And usually part of our soul candy, because like I said, I like frozen yogurt and going to the garage sales and cruising. There's a lot of things that are in my passion, speaking to groups and doing trainings. So I don't actually exercise all my soul's passion within my work, but I usually can find out what am I doing that allows me to be in my brilliance. And that's what we're looking for, to see if you are already doing something, you want to figure out how can you do more of that. And that's what I work with my clients on a lot of. How do you reinvent your business so that you're doing more of that part that fills your heart and brings you joy? And of course, there's more to the transition, but that's usually where I help people figure out first what that is, what's that soul candy for them.
Well, that's good. I think it's good to have a rating system, because that way you can look at it and say, do I really feel that way? Because I've scored this an 8 and the other 2. And what am I really spending my time doing? So you also in your bio said that your superpower is that you're an intuitive. Now that usually does not line up with being a business coach. So tell us how that works.
Yeah, usually it's funny. It's usually the exact opposite. And without getting really deeply into it, as a kid, I had an imaginary friend and I could speak to spirits and things like that, which nobody believed. They wanted to put you in the cuckoo house back in the early 60s for something like that. And so it wasn't something I ever talked about, and I kind of stuffed that down. And it wasn't, let's see, I became a business coach back in 1999, but I think it wasn't probably until early 2000s, maybe 2005, 2006, that I started really paying attention to the fact that I had this intuitive ability within me. And what's happened over time is I've kind of leaned into it. I've practiced. I've learned how to trust my intuition. And along the way, just like exercising any muscle, this intuitive ability has increased. So I was very grounded, practical systems, tools, processes. And then what unfolded for me was this ability to, I'll give you an example. When clients tell me, here's where my business is now, and that's where I want to go over there. What happens for me now is I still have all the grounded practical information, but I start seeing kind of like the yellow brick road in the Wizard of Oz, where they're skipping down the road and all of a sudden they come and there's 5 different directions. Well, I'll see the different directions for my clients so I can tell what's going to be the easiest way for them to get to their goals, what's going to be the fastest way, who they definitely shouldn't go into business with or hire. And so it's kind of like having this little extra sensory, secret weapon for my clients that I can save them a lot of heartache and frustration, or at least have them go eyes wide open. If something's going to be chunky and bumpy but fast, then at least they'll know going in there. So it's kind of like a little added thing. And there's other things that happen, but it's a very interesting thing to be happening in a business coaching session for me to have intuitive insight, for sure.
Wow. Well, I know you also have some secret recipes for helping people grow their business. So what are they?
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you some that are just so easy that it's going to be one of those, like duh moments. We know those. We hear them. We're like, oh, of course we know that. So you actually touched on this earlier, and kind of some simple things are just really making sure that you're in alignment with your joy and your passion, and that whatever your products or services are, that you like them. So those are, kind of some basics. But there are some other things that will help people, more practical things that will help them grow their business. And one of those is I'll share 2 tips. So one is being really mindful where you're focusing your attention. I always challenge people, you want to imagine that all of a sudden your whole work week that you normally spend is filtered down to 1/10 of the time. And I challenge people, if you only had 1/10 of the time, what are the actions you would take that would get you traction towards your goal, whatever your goal is? And I just kind of rein people back into really focusing in on those actions that are going to get them traction. Because the truth is, the rest of them is kind of like, I equate it to vacuuming. Yeah, sure, it's nice to have a nicely vacuumed living room, but is it really going to change our lives? For most people, not. And a lot of things in business we think we have to do, but we don't really have to do them. So it's focusing in on the actions that are going to get you traction towards your goals. That's probably one really important thing. And then the other is kind of, again, one of those duh moments, so simple, but we miss it all the time. I have people take a quick inventory. Go back and write down your last 10 ideal clients, and just, either their name or their company name, whatever it is, and then go back through the list and think about, how did these people find me or us? And usually if you can capture 10 of your ideal clients, or 10, clients you really like, what you'll see out of 10 people is they're not going to come in from 10 different channels. You'll usually see that there's a couple things that you're doing that work consistently. So maybe it's word of mouth marketing, or maybe they came in from your website, or you meet them out at networking, or you do speaking gigs, or whatever it is that you've done. Generally, out of 10, you're going to see at least 3 to 4 of them have come from the same source. And that is where this is like you ring the bell and the red light should be flashing. Pay attention to that, because whatever that channel is, it's working. And so whatever that channel is, if it's, even social media, invest more energy in whatever channel is that's working, that's bringing you those ideal clients. So simple, but we miss it. And back to, social media and blah, blah, blah. There's so many different things, but you want to focus your energy. That's your low-hanging fruit right there on what's working already.
Wow, that's so interesting. Well, I'll tell you, I think it is amazing to me that people work on things that they don't like or they're not interested in and think it's important for their business. I mean, that is so bizarre to me. But you also talk about a new business paradigm, and I have my own feelings on where everything is going to go once we get back to normal, if and when we get back to normal. So what are your thoughts on what the new business paradigm is?
Yeah, so I'll tell you, I've coached almost 400 people over the last 21 years, and I started noticing a couple of years ago there were some similarities between like 2 different camps. One camp was these group of business owners that it was like they had an ice pick and they're picking their way up the ice hill and sliding down and cursing, and everything was hard. And they could get to their goals, but everything was a lot of effort. And those people made up probably 90% of my clientele. And then there was, this 5 to 10% camp on the other side. And it was almost like they were just in this easy canoe using their paddle as the rudder and the flow of the water. And I started paying attention to what are those people doing. And I think that what happened, they were ahead of the track with shepherding in this new paradigm. And what we're having right now with the pandemic is just giving us time to reassess. So I'll tell you really quickly about those people in the easy canoe. I call this formula loving your business to wealth. And what I saw the similarities that every single one of them that was just graceful and easily going, there were 8 pillars that they were all actively engaged in. 1, the business owners or leaders, they liked themselves. They were invested in some sort of personal or spiritual development, every single one of them. They were actively bettering themselves. 2, they of course, they treated their clients like they love them. Of course, that's a no-brainer. We all know we're going to treat our customers like gold. What made it unique is that these leaders had a good relationship with money. They were not blocking the flow. They were allowing it into their lives. They could see how to leverage it, for what they wanted to use it for. So they all were allowing a good, healthy flow to them and through them back out in the world. It's like money was coming in, money was going out. They all had a good relationship with money. They all had that good relationship with their business, and then they were doing differently. The same type of attitude that they had with their clients, where they were treating these people with kindness, respect, appreciation. I call that loving their clients. They were doing the very same thing with their team, the people who supported them and helping them get their products or services in the world, their vendors, the people that they purchased from. And here's where where the magic started happening. Every one of these business owners or leaders had a commitment to impacting their communities, doing something good in their communities, and they had a purpose for making money that was a purpose for their business that was greater than making money. And they were all had some kind of give back to the greater good. And so it was those pillars together that really separated them. And what I feel like the shift is, we're going from mine and me and I have to get this. I think the shift is we're really going to much more of a global citizenry, if that's a word, or, thinking about the we instead of the me. So that's where I see it going, but we'll see. I guess we'll have to find out.
Well, that's interesting, really, Jennifer, because I don't understand why people don't do that, period. I mean, why haven't people done that all their lives? I mean, when I went into business, and I went into business at 21, I mean, I was very young and inexperienced. And of course, I thought I knew everything, but of course, I knew nothing. And I mean, that was just the way I was. I continue to this day, many years later, continue to learn and to go to conferences and take courses and, continually try to update myself. And I'm very conscious of how I treat people. And I hope that, that people feel like I'm giving back. And that's just the way I've been. And I don't know, maybe it's the way I was brought up. But to me, what you have said is just common sense. And, it's something that everybody should be doing if they're in business. I truly think people are going to get a shock when business comes back, because as I've said on other programs, I think robotics, artificial intelligence, all of that is going to change how we do business, what jobs are going to look like, where people are going to work from. I think they found now with the remote teams and the working from home and so forth that it works. And so, I just think it's going to shift how we do business. So, are you getting any insights from your clients around what's happening now, especially with your intuitive guidance?
Yeah, so I'll say, this is very interesting. I have probably a third of my clients who are doing better in this new version of, our new normal, which has only been, let's say, 2 months for some people, for the longest for some people, and, 4 to 6 weeks for others. I have probably 30% of my clients who are thriving right now. And I believe that the biggest change that I've seen for them is that they're having they're processing the emotions for the grief of the way that it used to be. But these people are maybe ahead of the pack in that they're willing to pivot, and they've been open-minded enough well, I've taken through a lot of them. I teach a process I call review, reinvent, recommit. And so what they're doing is they're taking a look at what they're doing now. They're reinventing in some way, because you can't do it the same way we could 2 months ago. Whatever it is, for most people, it can't happen exactly the way it was. So then they're doing a little bit of reinventing. Some of them are creating new products. Some of them are doing things in a new way. And then they're just taking it out there. And I feel like that 1/3, they're ahead of the pack. And my feeling is, if you can reinvent from where we are now and find new ways to be successful now, in the worst case scenario, when the doors are open and we go back to work, you'll have an additional stream of revenue. And that's what most people are, those ones that are kind of ahead of the track, they're finding, just like you said, companies are going to find out that we can all work remotely. I think that what's happening with the pause, I'm calling it the pause, is it's almost like we're being forced to be a little more introspective. And we're
Yes,
discovering, right?
I agree. I think that people are taking a look at everything. I mean, their home life, their business life,
Mm-hmm.
their personal life. I think they've looked at everything and said, "Wait a minute, wait a minute. Let's reevaluate." I think, and as you say,
Right.
to something else. So, what are some of the few tips that you can share to help people get into a productive and positive state of mind?
Yeah. So I think the first thing to do is to have some sort of tool so that if you find emotionally you kind of gone sideways, you're in overwhelm, frustration, anger, sadness, whatever it is, I think it's worth having those emotions, but not getting stuck there. If we go into one of those emotions and we allow ourselves to experience, that's great. But don't live there for a series of days or weeks or things like that. So we need some tools that are disruptors, so we can bring it back to what I call parking it in neutral, so that we can return to the situation without being charged up about it. And I used to hate when people would say, just breathe, just breathe. I mean, every time somebody would tell me just breathe, I wanted to strangle them. But the truth of the matter is, literally, if well, I'll do it right now. If I'm going to put one hand on my belly and I'm going to put one hand over my heart. And if I breathe in with my nose, a big breath, and allow the air and oxygen to fill my tummy, and just fill it up with oxygen and air, and then slowly exhale out of my nose. And then just take another deep breath, allowing my tummy to expand, filling it up with air and oxygen, and imagine that peace and calm and serenity is just filling my entire body. And as I exhale, anything that I don't want to keep on, or any emotions that I'm feeling that are not helpful for me, I'm just going to let them go with the breath. And you can probably tell even in 2 breaths, it's enough. So I usually tell people do a few belly breaths, because it's a mindfulness practice, but it literally can bring us back to center, and do what I call park it in neutral. Is it going to change the situation? No, but it's going to give us just a pause, like let us hit the roof, so that we're not allowing that emotion to be in the driver's seat of our life. We're going to, kick it to the back seat, take over the wheel again, and then we have an ability to consciously choose. So as simple as breathing is, that belly breath, and just bringing in what you want, releasing what you don't need, 3, 4, 5 breaths is a big changer. And then I'd say the other thing is, a disruptor is if we're getting stuck in emotional, we want to change our physiology. We want to get literally get up, move our shoulders around a little bit, go get out of the house, even if you're just walking to the mailbox.
Well, that's what I say.
Literally
I
change
said,
our physiology.
you've got to get up every 50 minutes or so and move around. Well, Rachel,
Mm-hmm.
you've just got a couple minutes left, Jennifer, so I want to make sure people know how to get a hold of you. Where can they reach you? And I know you have a free gift for them. So tell them about both.
Sure. So Jennifer Martin, and the name of my company is Zest Business Consulting. So you can find me at www.zestbusinessconsulting. I have a free gift, which is 10 fast and easy ways to get out of overwhelm and feel more balanced at work. And the place that you can find that is https:// which is bit like Tom .ly / Jennifer Martin free ebook. And you can also go to my website and go to the contact page, and there's a place you can download it there. And there's a whole handful of things that people can do anytime to completely disrupt and shift their state of mind in literally under a minute.
Fantastic. Well, Jennifer, this has been wonderful, and hopefully people will take part what they're doing now and listen to what you've said and put it back together in a much better way. So, if you're interested in finding out more about Jennifer, it's Zest, Z-E-S-T, zestbusinessconsulting.com, and you can go there. And if you go to her contact page, you can download the free ebook, or you can go to what she told you, which is https://bit.ly/Jennifer Martin free ebook. And folks, if you want to find me, I'm at spunkyoldbroad.com. My new Facebook group for women 50 plus is facebook.com/groups/virtual SOB club. Hope to see some of you there. Please take advantage of Jennifer's kind offer. And thank you so much for being with us today, Jennifer. It has been a pleasure.
Thank you, Gayle. It has been a pleasure, and I just love being with you. You're such a ball of light. It's been fantastic. Thank you.
Hi, this is Dr. Gayle, and I wanted you to know I have a whole bunch of other things to offer you. If you go to spunkyoldbroad.com, you will see an array of SOB stuff for sale and all our latest products and additions. If you're interested in getting on TV, I have a brand new course, Get on TV. And if you want to start your own business, you'll want my SOB Guide to Business Success. I know you'll love them all. I guarantee it.
Thanks for listening to Women in Business. I hope you enjoyed today's show. And if you have any suggestions as to who you'd like me to have as a guest, just email me at gaylecarson13@gmail.com. Be sure to check out www.sob6tips.com. And in the meantime, go to www.spunkyoldbroad.com to see the resources I have for you.